The parlor of the Adekunle family home was crowded with relatives. Aunties whispered, cousins pointed, and the air was thick with tension. Tolu sat quietly in the corner, her face pale. She was a single mother, a fact that some of the older relatives didn't hesitate to remind her of, as if she didn't know already. Her cousin Sola, who always seemed to have everything, paced dramatically in the center. "So, what have we decided about Grandma's house?" Sola asked, her voice carrying a sharp edge. "Uncle Jeed said the house will go to the person who can pay off the debts," an elder cousin replied, shooting a glance at Tolu. Tolu felt a cold wave wash over her. How could this be happening? Tolu cleared her throat, trying to gather strength. "But I thought Grandma left the house to all her grandchildren. Why do we need to pay anything?" Sola smirked. "Things have changed, Tolu. You haven't been around. The family agreed that whoever could pay the debts takes the house." Tolu's stomach churned. "But I don't have that kind of money." Sola shrugged, looking away dismissively. "Well, then I guess you're out of luck." Her voice was like a sting. The room erupted into waves of chatter, everyone talking over one another except Tolu, who sat frozen. She felt a sharp sense of betrayal. Had her family really plotted this behind her back? Later that evening, as the family dinner wound down, Tolu found herself alone with her younger sister Funka in the kitchen. Funka touched her arm gently, offering a sympathetic look. "Tolu, I'm sorry. I just found out yesterday," Funka said softly. Tolu bit her lip, trying to hold back tears. "They never even told me about the debts." "Ah, sister, I wish I could help," Funka whispered, hugging her. The next morning, Tolu sat by herself, sipping cold tea and staring into the morning sun, her mind a haze. Her little daughter, Kemi, climbed onto her lap. "Mama, why are you sad?" Kemi asked, peering up with wide eyes. "Ah, my dear, grown-up problems," Tolu replied with a wan smile. "But Mama, you always say there's a way out, right?" Kemi's eyes were bright and hopeful. Tolu sighed heavily and kissed Kemi's forehead. "Yes, my dear, there's always a way, even when it seems impossible." Kemi grinned. "Then you'll find it, Mama, I'm sure." At noon, Tolu went to see the family lawyer, Mr. Ogundele. She needed answers. As she sat in the lawyer's cramped office, surrounded by dusty books, her hands fidgeted. I don't understand. How can the family decide without my knowledge?" she asked, frustration spilling over. Mr. Ogundele adjusted his glasses, looking apologetic. "Tolu, I just heard. Your cousin brought in the documents on behalf of the family. I assumed you knew." "I didn't," Tolu exclaimed, voice trembling. Her heart was pounding. Mr. Ogundele frowned. "I'm sorry, Tolu. Sola brought the paperwork. Perhaps you should speak to your family directly." Tolu left the office, her footsteps echoing in her head. Betrayal gnawed at her insides. Back at home, she sat on her bed staring at the ceiling. This was the last thing she needed. Supporting Kemi with her modest job was hard enough. Whispered conversations behind thin walls spoke of mortgage decisions and fairness, but it was anything but fair. That night, Tolu couldn't sleep. She lay awake, thoughts swirling. Could Sola really end up with everything? Grandma's house was like a piece of her soul, her last link to a family that had now turned against her. Losing it felt like losing everything, and worst of all, she felt utterly powerless. By morning, her tired eyes caught a glimpse of Kemi's drawings on the fridge. A child's innocent artwork was like a reminder of hope she desperately needed. Kemi bounced into the kitchen. "Mama, let's make a plan," Kemi declared. Tolu blinked in surprise. "A plan, you say?" "Yes, Mama, like we do for the school bazaar. Let's list what we need." Kemi's excitement was contagious. That simple child's logic sparked something in Tolu. Maybe she couldn't get the house alone, but perhaps there was another way to fight this battle. "All right, we will," Tolu said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. They sat down with a notepad. Tolu still wasn't sure how to solve this problem, but discussing it with Kemi felt like a small win. They wrote down ideas, from cutting expenses to asking potential backers for help. Listening to her daughter's simple faith in her mother's ability to fix everything made a knot tighten in Tolu's throat. As they planned, Sola's words kept playing in Tolu's mind like a broken record. Whoever can pay off the debts. Tolu wasn't ready to give up. She still had a choice: accept defeat or fight back, even if it wasn't the way she originally thought. Just then, Funke walked in, holding something behind her back. "Tolu, I found this. It's from Grandma's things." She handed Tolu a small, dusty wooden box. Inside were letters. Grandmother's letters detailing how she wished for her house to be used and loved by all. Tolu's heart swelled as she read. This was her hope. At that moment, Tolu knew she had found the first step in reclaiming her life. She was resolved to face her family, armed with the truth, ready to fight for what was rightfully hers. As the tension heightened, Tolu took a deep breath, already envisioning what her next move would be. Tolu couldn't wait to confront Sola. The newfound resolve and her grandmother's letters gave her the strength she needed. As the family gathered again that afternoon, Tolu stood up, clutching the dusty letters tightly. "This entire situation with the house isn't fair," Tolu declared, her voice carrying over the murmurings in the room. "These letters from Grandma prove her true intentions. She wanted us to all share the house equally, not for one person to take it all." Sola crossed her arms, her expression defiant. "Those are just letters. The family made a decision." "You decided without me," Tolu shot back, her eyes blazing with a mix of hurt and anger. "I am still part of this family, and I won't let you take everything from us." Sola's confidence faltered slightly under Tolu's fiery gaze. "You've been absent," she said, but her voice shook with uncertainty now. "How do we know you'd hold up your end with the house?" Tolu exhaled sharply. "That isn't for you to decide alone. These debts can't be the only thing that determines our connection to her home." She unfolded the letters for everyone to see, highlighting her grandmother's wishes scribbled in each one. "I never even saw those," a voice murmured from the back of the room. It was their uncle, Jeed, stepping forward with a look of surprise. The tension tightened further as more family members huddled closer to glimpse the letters. The murmurs grew louder as the letters made their rounds. The room was thick with an uncomfortable mix of curiosity and regret. Sola glared at Tolu, her facade cracking. "I didn't know about the letters," Sola admitted finally, her voice quieter, though a tinge of defiance still lingered. "But I was just doing what I thought was right." "What's right is honoring Grandma's wishes," Tolu said, her voice softening slightly but still firm. "We should have had this conversation together." A silence settled over the family. It was as if everyone was starting to realize how their actions had divided them. Their grandmother's love overshadowed by financial disputes and hidden agendas. Tolu's heart fluttered with a mix of triumph and uncertainty. But how could they repair the damage done? Was there truly a way forward now? "There has to be a solution," Uncle Jeed said, his voice weary but sincere. "One that doesn't pit us against each other." Tolu sat in her bedroom that evening, the weight of her grandmother's letters still in her hands. The air was cool, the night drawing in around her. She felt exhausted, but resolved. "A solution," she whispered to herself, feeling Kemi's drawing pad lying nearby. Her daughter's faith lingered in her mind, the unshakable belief that there was always a way out. She glanced towards the worn Bible on her beside table, one she hadn't opened in far too long. Her fingers traced the edges before flipping it open. Her eyes fell on Matthew 5:9. "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." The words were like a steady inhale, filling her with an unexpected calm. Could she be that peacemaker for her family? Kemi shuffled into the room, rubbing her eyes. "Mama, are you okay?" Tolu looked at her daughter, feeling a warmth blossom in her chest. "I am now, my dear." She gently placed the Bible in front of Kemi. "Reading something that gives me hope." Kemi climbed onto her lap, nestling close. "Are we going to be okay?" Tolu kissed her forehead softly. "Yes, my love. We'll find a way, with God's help." The following day, Tolu gathered her family again. The tension was palpable, but there was also a newly lit spark of hope in her heart. "Family," she began, "this house is more than just bricks and mortar. It's about remembering who we are and why staying together matters." She paused, locking eyes with Sola. "I was angry, hurt, but I don't want to lose us over this." "I don't either," Sola replied, her voice tentative yet genuine. "Maybe we can come up with a plan. Together." Tolu nodded, watching as the rest of the family seemed to let out a collective sigh of relief. "The debts are real," Uncle Jide interjected diplomatically. But if we pool our resources, cut back where we can, we could keep the house and the family. The room felt lighter, as if a burden had been collectively shifted. Heads nodded in agreement. Solutions started falling into place, suggestions tumbling forth from various members. Sola walked over to Tolu after the meeting's end, her expression more open. "I'm sorry for the way things happened. I didn't think about how it would affect everyone." "Thank you, Sola," Tolu replied, her eyes softening with forgiveness. "Perhaps together we can make Grandma's wishes come true." Tolu felt an overwhelming peace as she and Funke washed the dishes later that day. Each plate they cleaned was like scrubbing away the past wounds, starting anew. "I found these," Funke said, holding up some more letters. Each one another piece of their grandmother's wisdom. "That woman was something," Tolu chuckled through tears. "Sometimes feels like she's still here." As she read another letter that evening to Cami, one sentence stood out powerfully. "This house is our heart. To love is to live." It was a message not just for Tolu, but for all her family. To love, truly love, meant setting aside the anger, the need for revenge, and finding Christ's peace. In a family meeting a week later, Tolu picked up where her grandmother left off. "Let's make this home what it was meant to be, a place of love and unity." Her family surrounded her, joining hands in agreement. It was a sacred moment, a bond born anew. As they walked out into the yard, Tolu felt the warmth of God embracing them all. Kemi's giggles echoed through the house like a sweet balm, the sound of fresh beginnings. "You did it, Mama," Kemi said, looking up at her with pride. "No," Tolu smiled, clutching her daughter close. "Together, with God, we did." Kemi's small hand found Tolu's, a simple yet profound reminder of all they had overcome. The house stood strong, walls bearing testimony to their dedication and newfound unity. Tolu felt an unshakable faith restored, not just in the family house, but in the love binding them all together. As the sun set behind the house, Tolu's heart found rest. She whispered into the cooling night air with conviction, "Revenge might have seemed sweet, but peace is the true victory. Thank you, Lord." Her spirit soared in quiet triumph, knowing that it was Christ's light that had guided her, and would continue to. In the fading light, the family stood united, the heart of their home pulsing with promises of peace and Christ-centered hope.
Thank you so much for listening to this intriguing story. I hope it touched you or taught you something. For more stories like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. And guys, if you'd like to see a part 2, or you have thoughts on what happened, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.